Well, how's it going? ShadyRiku here with my abilities guide for Kingdom Hearts Final Mix. Now, as we all know, abilities are skills that are equipped to members of the party using ability points, or AP. The majority of abilities are learnt by leveling up, but there are a handful of very useful abilities learnt in other various ways, which I'm going to go in depth on in today's video, so by the end you will know how to unlock every ability in the game for not just Sora, but all other party members as well. So if you find this guide useful, please like the video, and without further ado, let's begin. Okay, so I'm going to split this guide into different parts. We're going to start, most importantly, with Sora and his abilities, followed by Donald, Goofy, other party members, and then finish with shared abilities, which are abilities equipped to the whole party. As I said before, abilities are equipped using AP, but it's unlikely you'll have enough AP to equip all your abilities, especially on Sora, but you can gain AP by leveling up, or by using items called AP ups, which, like the name suggests, are items found all throughout the game, which can be used to increase a party member's ability points. I actually have a guide for AP ups, alongside power ups and defense ups, which I will link in the description. As with all my guides, the description will have timestamps for absolutely everything, so use it wisely. And finally, if you have any questions or need any help, leave a comment in the comments section and I will answer as best I can. Now, let's go learn some abilities. Okay, so let's begin most importantly with Sora's abilities, but first I want to talk about a special ability called EXP Zero. This is the only ability that Sora knows at the beginning of the game, and it's also exclusive to Proud mode. So when we start a new game, we're offered the choice to play the game on one of 3 different difficulties, and if we don't select Proud, we won't ever be able to obtain this ability during the playthrough. However, this ability is very special in that it allows players to do what is called a level 1 run, where they can attempt to complete Kingdom Hearts without leveling up at all. So unless you want to try this, it's not important, but because it's an ability, I wanted to include it in this guide. First of all, before we begin learning abilities, I want you to remember back to the beginning of the game, when you were presented with 3 different weapons, the sword, shield and staff, and asked to choose one. Now it's true that each choice will slightly alter Sora's stats, and you'll gain more strength with the sword, more defense if you chose the shield, and more MP if you go with the staff. This is pretty self-explanatory, but what is never stated is that whatever dream weapon you choose not only dictates minor stat changes, but also changes the order in which you learn abilities by level up. So depending on which weapon you chose and at which level you are currently at, this will dictate which abilities you have access to. The majority of abilities are learnt via level up, and regardless of which weapon you chose, once you reach level 100, you'll have acquired all possible level up abilities. But it's still nice to know which abilities we're going to learn and at which level we learn them, so I'm going to post a table on screen right now to show you at which level you'll learn each ability for all 3 possible choices. If you're unsure which weapon you chose at the beginning of the game, just go to the pause menu and check what level you are. For example here, I'm level 70. Then go to the abilities menu, select Sora, then up comes a list of all the abilities Sora has currently learnt, and they are all in the order in which you've learnt them. This allows us to line up our order of abilities with that of each choice to determine the weapon we selected. Just be aware that some abilities are learnt outside of level up, and since they can be learnt at any time, they will slot into this list of abilities at random points, meaning your list of abilities won't exactly match any of these tables, but it's still fairly easy to tell. Perhaps the easiest way is to just check your most recently learnt ability, which will be at the bottom of the list. In my case it's Leaf Bracer and I'm at level 70. So if I look at level 70 on the table, it tells me that the most recent level I would have learnt an ability before this would have been at level 69. According to the table, at that level I would have learnt Leaf Bracer if I chose the sword, Ripple Drive with the shield, and Slapshot if I chose the staff. As I have just checked, my most recent ability was Leaf Bracer, which corresponds to the sword, so I must have chose the Dream Sword at the start of the game. I'm also going to leave this table in the description so you can check all this information at any time. If that was a little too complicated, then there is an even easier method to confirm which weapon you chose, but it is a little time consuming. what we do is check our level. In this example I'm level 70, so I'm going to go to the table and check when's the next level where I learn an ability. The table tells me it will be level 72, but it also lets me know that the ability I learn at this level will be different for all 3 choices. This is perfect. Now I know that whichever of these 3 abilities I learn, that will tell me exactly which weapon I chose in my game. So in this case, I'm going to go and level up until I reach level 72. If you want to know the quickest way to level up, I will leave a link to my level up guide for Kingdom Hearts Final Mix in the description whenever it's made. Once I reach level 72, the game lets me know I learnt Air Combo Plus. Again, to confirm, we can pause the game and check our most recently learnt ability. It's 100% Air Combo Plus, which matches with the sword section of the table, once again confirming I chose the sword at the beginning of the game. Now like I said, knowing your weapon choice isn't that important, since we will all know the same abilities at level 100 regardless of our weapon choice, but it's nice to know at which level we learn certain abilities, so this is how you check. I'm going to leave this table up for a few seconds in case you want to screenshot, but just know I will leave all this information in the description as well. Now the next natural question is, are there any abilities we learn outside of level up? Well yes, actually there are a handful of incredibly useful abilities that are not learnt through level up, and that is why I made this video, to guide you all on learning every ability in the game. So if you're ready, let's go learn them. So we now know about abilities that we obtain through leveling up, but there are over a dozen abilities that Sora learns outside of level up, which I'm going to list on screen now alongside timestamps to take you to the appropriate section in the video for each. Now a good question at this point would be, well, how do I know which of these abilities I have or don't have? Very simply, all we do is pause the game, go to abilities, select Sora, and then mark off any abilities we have already obtained that are on this list. How do you mark them off? Well, I've actually created a PDF file listing all the abilities we learn outside of level up, and all you need to do is print off that PDF and mark it as you learn each ability. This is the easiest way to track which abilities we already have or need to learn. As you can see, I have also delegated a number to each ability, listed in a rough chronological order of when each ability becomes available in the story. So if you don't want to print off the PDF document, just list on a piece of paper the numbers 1 to 14, which correspond to the 14 abilities on screen, and then tick off each number as you learn it. For example, I'm going to go through my own abilities here now. So in my abilities menu I have Dodge Roll, Sonic Blade, Tech Boost, Combo Plus twice, Tech Boost again, Strike Raid, Ars Arcanum, Critical Plus and Gravity Break. So I have marked these off my list, and I have a handful of abilities still to learn. Now that I know exactly which abilities I need, I can use the timestamps down below to navigate to the sections of this guide that are relevant to me. Pretty easy, right? Now the only exception to this, as you may have noticed, are Combo Plus and Tech Boost, which appear multiple times under the ability section. This is because Combo Plus is learnt 4 times, 3 of these via level up, and Tech Boost is also learnt 4 times, twice via level up. So because these 2 abilities are learnt both by level up and outside of level up, it can be quite difficult even by using the table that we seen from the beginning to figure out how we learnt them. So to check, just go to my section of this guide which corresponds to each of the abilities, and within these sections you'll see ways to quickly check if you've learnt these abilities outside of level up already. So as I said, I have numbered each ability 1 to 14 and I've put them in a rough chronological order. Most of these abilities can be learnt at any time in the story, so the order will be different for most people, but I'm going to keep it in line with the story as best I can. So with that intro out of the way, let's go learn these abilities. So our first ability learnt outside of level up, like many of the others we will soon see, is learnt naturally as we progress through the story. And our first ability of this type, Dodge Roll, is taught to us by Goofy after defeating Guard Armor in Traverse Town's 3rd District. Now, when we initially visit the Olympus Coliseum, we have the option of completing Phil's barrel training, and then afterwards we're able to compete in the preliminary tournament, which ends with us fighting Cloud. After the battle with Cloud, Cerberus attacks the arena, and if we choose to fight and defeat Cerberus, and then attempt to leave the Olympus Coliseum, we initiate a cutscene with Cloud, where he will give us the ability Sonic Blade. Now, as we know, throughout the game, multiple tournaments known as Cups will become available for us to participate in, as long as we have beaten Cerberus, which I just talked about before this. Well, the first of these tournaments, the Phil Cup, becomes available to us once we defeat Opposite Armor and seal the keyhole during our second visit to Traverse Town. Now, to enter a cup, we must speak to Phil in the Olympus Coliseum's lobby, and we can choose to participate in any of the cups that are currently available to us. If when we select a cup, the only option available to us is Enter Together, then we haven't beaten the tournament yet. Beat any cup once, and then the option to Enter Solo, just Sora, becomes available, which allows us to attempt a tournament without Donald or Goofy. We need to complete the Phil Cup with Sora only to unlock our next ability, Combo Plus. Now, because Combo Plus is one of two abilities that are learnt both by level up and outside of level up, it can be hard to know just by looking at the abilities menu whether we learnt this ability by beating the Phil Cup solo or via level up. We can go back and calculate it using the abilities table at the beginning, but a much easier way to verify is just by talking to Phil in the Olympus Coliseum's lobby. You see, when we select the Phil Cup, there may be an option to enter the time trial. If it offers you the ability to enter the time trial, then congratulations, you've already learnt the Combo Plus ability at the Olympus Coliseum, since the time trial of any cup is only unlocked by clearing it solo. If there is no option to enter a time trial, then you have not beaten the cup with Sora only, and must do so to not only gain this ability, but also to unlock the Phil Cup time trial, which we're going to need for our next ability. So the next ability we're going to obtain is given to us after we complete the Phil Cup time trial, which, like I said before, only becomes available after beating the cup once in the normal fashion and then completing it with Sora only. Thankfully, like I said before, these time trials are considered mini-games, and in the journal there is a separate section dedicated to mini-games. So all we have to do is pause the game, select mini-games, and then select the time trials. If there is a score, then we have completed the time trial already, and we don't have to do it again. However, if there is no score, then we need to beat the Phil Cup time trial, because afterwards we learn the ability Tech Boost. The Olympus Coliseum time trials are actually considered mini-games, and thankfully I've made a mini-games guide on this channel with a huge big section dedicated to going in depth on these time trials, which will guide you step by step on the preparation, recommended level, and even take you round by round through every cup. So of course I'm going to link this guide in the description and at the end of the video in case you need any help or want more info. So the next cup, the Pegasus Cup, becomes available for us to enter after the completion of Monstro. All we need to do is clear this cup for the first time and we are rewarded with the great Strike Raid ability. In Neverland, as we progress through the story, we eventually must fight Captain Hook, and upon defeating him in battle, we learn the amazing Ars Arcanum ability. Return to the Olympus Coliseum after sealing Neverland's keyhole, and the Hercules Cup becomes available to enter. Clear this tournament once, and then enter it again, but this time we will have the option to enter with just Sora. Then if we complete the Hercules Cup solo, Sora will learn the ability Critical Plus. Beat the Hercules Cup with Sora only, and then we have access to the time trial for the Hercules Cup. Now these Olympus Coliseum time trials are considered mini-games, so if you're struggling to beat them or want more info, check out my mini-games guide, which will be linked in the description and at the end of the video. Here's a quick tip: when you get to Hercules during the time trial, just pause the game, select restart, and it will restart the round with Hercules, but the timer will be frozen. This is a glitch which lets you beat the Hercules Cup time trial at a much lower level because the time factor is eliminated, and as long as you don't lose against Hercules, you can finish the time trial as normal. Either way, if you manage to beat the Hercules Cup time trial, you will be rewarded with the ability Gravity Break. Continue the story even further, and we end up fighting Riku Ansem in Hollow Bastion. If we are victorious, Sora learns the ability Ragnarok. Later on, you'll want to return to Traverse Town. Now while in Traverse Town, you may notice there's a green Trinity mark inside the accessory shop, and if we have sealed Agrabah's keyhole, then we're able to activate it. Afterwards, a ladder comes down from the ceiling and we can climb it to gain access to the Moogle workshop, which is where we synthesize all our materials. Why are we here in an abilities guide? Well, if we synthesize any 15 items, then we're actually given the ability Encounter Plus. If you want to know any details on how to synthesize the items, check out my 2-part synthesis guide, which will be linked down below in the description. The last ability available to us back in Traverse Town is actually a reward from Pongo and Perdita for returning 90 Dalmatians to them. Of course, we can pause the game, go to the journal and check how many Dalmatians we have under the Dalmatians section. If the journal tells us we have 90 or more, enter the Dalmatians house in Traverse Town's 2nd district to receive your reward. Of course, if you want to know where to find the Dalmatians, I will link you to my Dalmatians guide in the description. When we enter the Dalmatians house with at least 90 puppies in our journal, a short cutscene plays. And then we can collect our reward, the Tech Boost ability, by walking up to the box on the floor. If there's no cutscene that plays when you enter the Dalmatians house, then Pongo and Perdita have already given you the reward. Just make sure it's not sitting on the floor, because if you don't walk up to the box, it will stay there indefinitely. After sealing Hollow Bastion's keyhole, the last and most difficult tournament at the Olympus Coliseum, the Hades Cup, becomes available. Upon completing all 49 rounds for the first time, Sora learns the ability Trinity Limit. After sealing Hollow Bastion's keyhole, very difficult optional bosses become available for us to fight. The one we want to fight is located in Agrabah, and by talking to Carpet in Aladdin's house and selecting Ride on Carpet, he will take us out to the desert to fight one of the most difficult bosses in the game, Kurtziza. Just as a warning, I recommend getting to at least level 70 for this fight, as it is quite difficult. But if you are victorious, then congratulations, because you will learn the ability Zantetsuken. And the final ability learnt by Sora is called Cheer. This ability is learnt by all 3 party members, but in very different ways. In this case for Sora, it's actually learnt by talking to Owl outside Pooh's house in the 100 Acre Woods. However, he will not just give you this ability, he will only teach you Cheer after you obtain a particular score in each of the 100 Acre Woods minigames. Now, there are 5 different minigames, and each one is unlocked by collecting one of the 5 torn pages scattered throughout the game. For info on where to find the torn pages, check out my torn pages guide, which will be linked in the description. So there are 5 minigames in the 100 Acre Woods: Pooh's Honey Hunt, Tigger Bounce, Pooh's Swing, Tigger's Giant Pot, and Pooh's Muddy Path. And for each one there is a minimum required score, which I will put on screen right now. You must achieve each of these scores or higher before Owl gives you this ability. We can check if we've achieved these scores or times by looking at the minigame section of our journal, where Jiminy will list our 5 best times or scores for every minigame. So by looking at our scores in the journal for each minigame, we can see if they are up to the standard needed to learn Cheer. Or another option is to talk to Owl. He will thank you and specifically mention each minigame where you've achieved the necessary score. For example, he thanks me here for helping Pooh get honey from the bees, which corresponds to Pooh's Honey Hunt. He thanks me for helping protect Rabbit's carrots, which is the Tigger Bounce minigame, for bouncing with Roo, this is Tigger's Giant Pot, and finding all of them when they were lost, of course this is Pooh's Muddy Path. So Owl has mentioned to Sora 4 out of the 5 minigames in this case, so I have achieved a high enough score in these 4 minigames, and the one he didn't mention was Pooh's Swing, so I will need to go and play the minigame again. And checking my table, achieve a distance of 40 yards or more. After doing that, I can go back to Owl, talk to him, and he will thank me for all 5 minigames, indicating I've achieved a high enough score in every single one, and as a reward Sora learns the ability Cheer. By the way, if you need any info on unlocking or completing any of these 100 Acre Woods minigames, please check out my minigames guide where I go into great detail on these. The link for my minigames guide will be down in the description and at the end of the video. And that is every ability Sora could possibly learn in Kingdom Hearts Final Mix. Of course we have some shared abilities to learn, but first let's have a look at our party members' abilities. So you'll be thankful to know that Donald learns all but one of his abilities in the game via level up. Here's a table which shows all of Donald's abilities and at which level he learns them.
After coming this far,
the only exception to this is the Cheer ability. Don't worry, it's not nearly as complicated to learn for Donald as it was for Sora. All we have to do is defeat Maleficent's human form in Hollow Bastion and receive this ability for Donald. And that's as simple as that, all the abilities in the game for Mr. Donald Duck.
Name's Goofy.
Next up we have Goofy, who again learns almost all of his abilities via level up, just like Donald. Here's a table which shows all of Goofy's abilities and at which level he learns them. Again, there is one exception, which is of course Cheer, but thankfully this is actually the easiest of the Cheer abilities to learn, as Goofy learns it right after defeating the Parasite Cage for the first time in Monstro. And congratulations, that's all the main abilities learned for the entire party: Sora, Donald and Goofy.
This is your home?
Now just for thoroughness sake, I'm going to post tables up on screen now which show the abilities for our other 6 party members in the game. Some of you may not care about this info, but it's here if you ever need it.
All for one, one for all.
And finally we have arrived at the shared abilities. Shared abilities are abilities that have their own section in the abilities menu, and as the name suggests, are abilities which, when equipped, allow all party members to use them. This will be the final section of this guide, where I'm going to show you how to obtain these extremely useful abilities. First and most important is High Jump, which is actually located inside a chest on Geppetto's boat inside Monstro, which becomes available to us after defeating the Parasite Cage for the first time.
Care about her.
The Mermaid Kick ability, which allows the party to swim faster, is unlocked after defeating Ursula for the first time in Atlantica.
You'll pay for this.
The ability to glide is given to us once we seal Neverland's keyhole.
Do me a favor? Look after her for me, will ya? What?
And Superglide, the ability to glide at high speeds, is learnt by the party after defeating Chernobog at the end of the world. Congratulations, that is every ability in Kingdom Hearts Final Mix finally compiled in a nice little video. If you needed to know how to learn a particular ability, I hope this guide helped you, and if so, please like the video and subscribe for more Kingdom Hearts content. I'm ShadyRiku, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all on the next one. Take care.